We will not support unless there's a GST holiday first and that the checks are fixed to include the people who are most vulnerable.
We want to give them support because we know things are tough for workers, not to take away anything from the help we're giving seniors or youth. We want to be there for workers, and the NDP is suddenly against benefits for workers. It makes no sense, Mr. Speaker.
Here we have the NDP claiming to have torn up their deal, their carbon tax coalition, with the Prime Minister. But then they taped it back together when he promised a 2-month tax trick. Then, after taking credit for it, the NDP says they didn't know what was in it.
The Fed's proposed $250 rebate for 18 million working Canadians could be at risk. Legislation for the Liberals' latest affordability package has just been tabled. While it includes the proposed 2-month GST holiday, it does not include the rebate. Why? The NDP now say they want eligibility for that check to be expanded to seniors who aren't working and Canadians with disabilities. If that doesn't happen, New Democrats say they won't support it. Here's a reminder of what the Feds have proposed, a total package worth $6.3 billion, with the GST break costing $1.6 billion, and the rebate would set the Feds back $4.7 billion. If the Feds agree to expand eligibility, the cost of those measures would, of course, increase. So is this sound fiscal policy? Former Bank of Canada Governor David Dodge is with me live now. Hi, Mr. Dodge. Good to see you. As always, thanks for making the time.
Good to be here, Vassy.
Is this package in and of itself, in your view, inflationary?
I don't think that the most important question is it a package that is likely to raise the incomes and the real standard of living of Canadians? And the answer is that it's a bit of candy today with borrowed money, but it does nothing to raise the incomes and the productivity of Canadians going forward. So in straight economic terms, it's a bad package. It's a little bit today for a lot more pain tomorrow.
I guess why I ask about whether or not it's inflationary is because the government's messaging around this is it's a bit of relief, right? For people who may have an income, but and this is a very common feeling expressed to me, who are working, who have an income, but still feel like they are struggling really to stay on top of things. They're not thriving, they're surviving. Is there something inherently wrong with trying to cut Canadians a bit of a break?
Inherently, no, but it's a little candy today for pain down the road. So what you're playing to, what the politicians are playing to, is the sort of short-term sense, the myopia that people have about what's going to happen. We've got a problem as we face down the road with the fact that our incomes are not rising. And we've got that problem because we've been borrowing money to hand out a little bit of goodies today, this $1.6 billion that's on offer, without making the investments that need to be made so that Canadians can earn more in the future and raise their standards of living. So in economic terms, this is not the right package. If you're going to borrow $1.6 billion to do this, you'd be far better to invest that in better tools for people to work with so they can raise their incomes, or indeed to invest in better border controls so we don't get whacked with American actions that will hurt our ability to earn our way in the future.
I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to get your take on the potential impact of those tariffs. Is it a certainty from where you sit that if they are applied, if they do come to fruition, that our economy would enter into a recession?
That would be my take, if indeed they're applied quickly in the first half of 2025. Yes, we cannot adjust rapidly enough to avoid a problem. How deep the recession that's another question. But yeah, and so that's why it's a bit strange, let me put it that way, in economic terms, that we're going out and borrowing money now for a little bit of candy between Christmas and New Year's, when we face a very real problem that is going to could hurt us very seriously. So I just think that the mix here of policies just doesn't fit the needs we have and the need for us all to work together so that Canadians' incomes are rising. That's the real problem, that our incomes have been rising so slowly or not at all,
right,
or going in the other direction. And so we feel that we've got a problem when we go to the grocery store. But the real problem is that our incomes have not risen fast enough for us to be able to, on average, go out and buy the groceries. So that's the fundamental issue, Vassy, and it's hard. It's hard because it's difficult for, I think, any politician, federal or provincial, to stand up and say, no, look, you're going to have to suck it in a little bit today, tighten your belt a little bit today, if in fact we're going to have rising incomes in the future, not only for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children.
Okay, I've got to leave it on that note. Mr. Dodge, a real pleasure as always to get your analysis. Thank you.
Good night, Vassy.